In this video, I'm reviewing 4 Charizard EX deck lists from the Japanese website PokeCardLab.com, and I'm also going to use one of the deck lists on Limitless Tabletop to play through a few test hands with the deck and show you how it functions. Charizard EX is a Stage 2 Dark type with 330 HP. Its ability reads, you may use this ability when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, search your deck for up to 3 basic fire energies, and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. This ability is really strong, and the Burning Dark attack does 180 plus 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. Notably, Charizard EX is weak to grass, which is not a big deal. The first list we have here is a Charizard EX Arceus VSTAR deck that also plays a 201 line of Pidgeot EX. Pidgeot EX will be coming out in its Obsidian Flames, and it's also a really good card. It has the ability Mock Search. Search your deck for one card and put it into your hand. You can only use one of these abilities each turn. It also has Whirlwind that does 120 and discards a stadium in play and has Free Retreat. So Mock Search is really the main thing that we will want to use Pidgeot EX for. Another new card here is Pokemon League Headquarters, which says that all basic Pokemon have +1 colorless energy cost in their attacks. So I like this list. This looks consistent because of Arceus VSTAR plus Pidgeot EX. And you have 2 really good late game attacking options, Charizard EX, which gets stronger as your opponent takes more prize cards, and of course Radiant Charizard, which gets easier to attack with as your opponent takes more prize cards. If I started messing around with this deck list, I'd probably want to work in something like a Cheryl to heal either Charizard or Arceus, or even Pidgeot, or perhaps a Charon's Care to heal Arceus VSTAR. I feel like those utility supporters are more and more viable now because of something like Pidgeot EX that gives you a free search for any one card every turn. This next list is not using Arceus VSTAR. It uses a 202 line of Pidgeot EX, also using the new Entei, which will be in Obsidian Flames, just a pretty good single prize fire attacker, and also the Victini EX from the starter decks, which does 220 and discards 2 energy from the Victini EX, so a nice little basic attacker that can reach 220 on turn 2 after evolving Charizard and attaching those energies to it, so that card might not be as useless as I first thought it was. Next, we have another Charizard with Pidgeot list, but this one is also using the Charizard EX from the Pokemon 151 set, which is not releasing at the same time as Obsidian Flames for players outside of Japan. So this Charizard EX, and therefore this deck list, is not going to be applicable to the Obsidian Flame standard format until Pokemon 151 is released. So it's using one of this Charizard here. It does 60 damage plus 100 more if this Pokemon has any damage on it, or Explosive Whirlpool, which does 330, and you discard 3 energy from this Pokemon. So this card does seem pretty strong, but like I said, we won't be using it immediately because it is not out yet outside of Japan. This is also using the Cleffa with the free attack that allows you to draw cards until you have 7 in your hand, and it also has free retreat, notably, and also Delphox V. I think Delphox V is going to be a really cool attacker on turn 2 in these Charizard decks, because you can rare candy your Charizard down, search for 3 fire energies, attach them to Delphox, and then Delphox does 120 and 120. So if the opponent doesn't prepare with a Manaphy, you can really catch people off guard with that Delphox V on turn 2. And finally, we have a Charizard EX Lost Zone box deck. So I'm very unsure about rare candy in Lost Zone decks. You know, you're flower selecting cards away, you're chorusing cards away, but the idea is that you have your typical Lost Zone box core of Cramorant and Sableye, and also the Radiant Charizard here, and then you can use the Charizard EX either to power up itself, Delphox V, or Radiant Charizard. So I do think this deck seems cool, but whenever I see a Lost Zone box deck that's breaking the mold, like we've seen the ones with Luxray and Reversal Energy. We've seen Meowscarada EX with Rare Candy, and now this. In the past, those decks have not amounted to anything other than just being a cool creation that did well at a small Japan tournament. So we'll have to see if this one's any different. So the list that I decided to test out a bit here today on Limitless Tabletop is this Charizard Arceus Pidgeot deck. So I have the list here. I had to just manually type it in because these cards aren't out in English yet. And I will copy and paste this into the description of the video in case you guys wanted to try this as well, or you just want to see the deck list. So let's draw some hands with this, maybe play out a couple of turns. Okay, so our first hand here, we've got a Pidgey start. That's fine. Let's go ahead and take our first turn and see what this deck looks like. So we're going to Nest Ball. We will want an Arceus V. We'll put that to the bench. And then we're going to Ultra Ball, a Fire Energy, and another Ultra Ball, because we do need to get a Charmander down. If this hand had an Arceus VSTAR in it, this would be like perfect. But I also didn't want to Ultra Ball away the Pidgeot and the Iono just to hold on to an Ultra Ball that I then don't really have cards I want to discard away. So this is what my board would look like turn 1 and then pass. Going on to turn 2, we draw a Choice Belt. So we'll just go ahead and put this Choice Belt here and then play Iono. Put our cards to the bottom of the deck and then draw 6. And yeah, this ends up being a bit of an unfortunate draw. We don't get our Arceus VSTAR, but what we can do is evolve into Charizard EX. But actually, the opponent doesn't need to know that we have the Charizard EX. You know, this hypothetical opponent when I'm playing these test hands. This is how I solitaire test, by the way, either on Limitless Tabletop or in real life. I try to play as optimally as I can, even though I don't really have an opponent. It's just good practice. So I would escape rope first. The opponent promotes whatever, and then we Rare Candy down, and we activate its ability, and we'll get 3 Fire Energies, and 2 go here, and we should have benched this Charmander probably, and the other Fire Energy goes there. Depending on what our matchup is like, maybe we play down the league headquarters, and then we would just attack. So let's play through another turn 1. In this hand, we have Charmander as our start, and we'll draw for turn. So we'll go ahead and play Nest Ball for Arceus. Just go ahead and put that onto the bench. And then we'll Ultra Ball away Radiant Charizard and Charmeleon. And then that's past turn. The nice thing about this is, even if you want to attack with Arceus in this deck on turn 2, you can do so without attaching on turn 1 because of Charizard EX. So now we'll go on to our second turn. We top deck an Arceus VSTAR, so that's really nice. So we'll just put that down. We have Ultra Ball in our hand, so we could do something like grab 2 rare candies with Starbirth and then Ultra Ball for Pidgeot. So we'll just go ahead and use that as an example play of what you can do with this deck. So we'll activate Starbirth and search our deck for 2 rare candies, and then Ultra Ball away Judge and Boss's Orders for Pidgeot, and then Rare Candy Pidgeot, and then we can use Pidgeot's ability to grab ourselves Charizard EX if we wanted. We could also grab a supporter and hope to get that candy back, but I've already Starbirthed for the rare candy, so I'm just going to keep it. And then we do this, and then we activate that ability upon evolution, get 3 Fire Energies and put them wherever we like, so it's 2 there and 1 here. And the nice thing about this setup is that even though we have a 0-card hand, we can just use Pidgeot's ability next turn to search for any single card we need, as long as the opponent doesn't shut down Pidgeot's ability. And this Charizard can probably tank a hit. If this is turn 2 that we're establishing, it has 330 HP, swing it in for a vanilla 180. We'll play through one more hand of the deck. So this time we have an Arceus start, turn 1, draw for turn. This is actually a beautiful starting hand. We'll go ahead and grab a Charmander, and then we'll go ahead and use another Nest Ball, and we'll just grab one more Charmander, And then we'll go to turn 2. And this is just an iono hand. Shuffle all to bottom of deck and then draw 6. Nice, we get Ultra Ball. So we'll Ultra Ball away Artazon Fire Energy for Arceus VSTAR. Evolve the Arceus VSTAR. And we can do a pretty similar play to what I proposed in our last opening hand. So we'll use Starbirth for Pidgeot and Rare Candy. We'll Rare Candy down Pidgeot. Then we'll use Pidgeot's ability for Charizard. And then we'll Rare Candy down Charizard. We activate Charizard's ability. And we get 3 fire energies to attach however we like. We'll attach all 3 to the active and also attach for turn. And then we get to swing with Trinity Nova. Not going to be attaching any energy anywhere. But this deck, I really like how it sets up. Path to the Peak is obviously going to be an issue for this deck because I'm using, like, I think in all 3 test hands we just did there, I used Starbirth, Pidgeot, Charizard abilities all on the same turn. So, like, maybe Pumpkaboo can be an option. Maybe Lost Vacuum could be an option. Maybe just playing a 4th Stadium could also be an option. But I think this deck seems really cool. This is the one we were playing the test hands with there. And let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe here. And I'll see you next time here on Celio 2.